I am beyond verbally Einsteinian infinity. Show me a sane man and I will cure him for you. Show me a sane man and I will cure him for you. Imagine a society that subjects people to conditions that make them terribly unhappy, then gives them the drugs to take away their unhappiness. Science fiction is already happening to some extent in our society. Instead of removing the conditions that make people depressed, modern society gives them antidepressant drugs. In effect, antidepressants are a means of modifying an individual's internal state in such a way as to enable him to tolerate social conditions that he would otherwise find intolerable, unstoppable. I'm indestructible. I told my psychiatrist that everyone hates me. He said I was being ridiculous. Everyone hasn't met me yet. Sleepless nights I have spent rapping again. My love is something valuable to me, which I ought not to throw away without reflection. They called me mad, and I called them mad, and damn, then they outvoted me. Rapping Monopoly. Geniuses have been condemned all throughout history. Look at Jesus, a genius, and Socrates, condemned. They didn't do anything wrong but speak verbally, truthfully. When a love relationship is at its height, there is no room left for any interest in the environment. A pair of lovers are sufficient to themselves. Raps on the shelf. In my opinion, our healthcare system has failed when a doctor fails to treat an illness that is treatable. Rap, unstoppable, monopoly, sloppity, floppity. There's that prepping for all of eternity. Infinity times infinity. Twixt the about beyond to infinity and beyond is the infinite me. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. It's still magic even if you know how it's done. Ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. I never stop spending rum, drinking rum. We are stuck with technology when what we really want is just stuff that works. Please, no matter how we advance technology, technologically, please don't abandon the book. There is nothing in our material world more valuable than the book. V-Day, if you need this one day in a year to show everyone else you truly care for your loved one, I think it's quite stupid. I hate this commercialism. It's all artificial and has nothing to do with real love. From above, turtle, dove. There's a speaking rhymes from above. There's a speaking, it will never be enough. If you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave. Perhaps the greatest faculty of our minds, possessing the ability to cope with pain. Classic thinking teaches us of the four doors of the mind, which everyone moves through according to their need. First is the door of sleep. Sleep offers us a retreat from the world and all its pain. Sleep marks passing time, giving us distance from the things that have hurt us. When a person is wounded, they will often fall unconscious. Similarly, someone who hears traumatic news will often swoon or faint. This is the mind's way of protecting itself from pain by stepping through the first door. Second is the door of forgetting. Some wounds are too deep to heal or too deep to heal quickly. In addition, many memories are simply painful, and there is no healing to be done. The saying time heals all wounds is false. Time heals most wounds. The rest are hidden behind this door. Third is the door of madness. There are times when the mind is dealt such a blow, it hides itself from insanity. Hides itself in insanity, sometimes the mind does. While this may not seem beneficial, it is. There are times when reality is nothing but pain, and to escape that pain, the mind must leave reality behind, spitting never-ending, bewildering rhymes. A wonderful fact to reflect upon, that every human creature is constituted to be that profound secret and mystery to eat every other rapper forever. Scientific rapper forever. Scientific, I am automatic, spitting a spat it. I don't know what's worse, to know what you are and be happy, or to become what you've always wanted to be and feel alone. Well, there I go. I know enough to know that no woman should ever marry a man who hated his mother. Rapper forever. According to Madame Pomfrey, thoughts could leave deeper scars than almost anything else. There's a spitting, raps on the shelf. There I go again inside of my head. Never stop rapping and speaking scientifically again. These folk are hewers of trees and hunter of beasts. Therefore we are their unfriends, and if they will not depart, we shall afflict them in all ways that we can. We need to save the forests. I have a big warehouse we could store them in. Trees, how many of them do we need to look at, Rap? And Ethiopia is the center of origin, and diversity for the majority of coffee we drink. The common defecation of coffee pushes farmers to grow as much as possible by whatever means possible. This has contributed to deforestation. This place where coffee was born, the area with the greatest biodiversity of coffee anywhere in the world, could disappear. No forest, no coffee, no coffee, no forest. What we lose isn't specific to Ethiopia. It impacts us all. What if I fall? Bringing everybody down. If I fall, I'll bring everybody down around me too. But I'm speaking scientifically to you. Across the road from my cabin was a huge clear-cut hundreds of acres of massive spruce stumps. Interspersed with tiny Douglas firs, products of what they call reforestation, which I guess makes the spindly firs and mass reforest, which makes an individual spindly fir, which means you could say that a Weyerhaeuser who owns the joint has a refer madness, since they think that sawing down 200-foot tall spruces and replacing them with pulling 2-foot firs is no different from farming beans or corn or alfalfa. They even call the towering spires they wipe from the earth's face forever a crop, as if they'd planted the virgin forest. But I'm just a fisherman and maybe missing some deeper significance in their nomenclature and stranger treatment of primordial trees. Rapping scientifically, it gets me thinking about the history of this land, of this whole world. It spins and swirls and it twirls. Even how someone got it in their head that ripping down 1,000-year-old trees was okay. How many people would grow gardens are crunchy. How people who grow their stock portfolios are sophisticated. How tens mom's land with its birdsong and dappled light and ancient mushrooms will be destroyed in just a few days because of rich people. A few rich people want more money, and there's nothing any of us can do about it. I spit it, I shout it. There's a spit and rap it forever and ever. For a rapper stops rapping never. The total amount of suffering per year in the natural world is beyond all decent contemplation during the minute that it takes me to compose a sentence. Spit and rap it, I repent it, spit it. Thousands of animals are being eaten alive. Many others are running for their lives, whimpering with fear. Others are slowly being devoured from within by rasping parasites. Thousands of all kinds are dying of starvation, thirst, and disease. It must be so. If there ever is a time of plenty, this very fact will automatically lead to an increase in the population until the natural state of starvation and misery is restored in a universe of electrons and selfish genes, of blind physical forces and genetic replication. Some people are going to get hurt, other people are going to get lucky, and you won't find any rhyme or reason in it, nor any justice. The universe that we observe has precisely the properties we should expect. If there is at bottom no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but pitiless indifference. One general law leading to the advancements of all organic beings, namely multiply, vary, let the strongest live and the weakest die. Spitting our end in rhymes, the savages, the weakened, body or mind, are soon eliminated, and those that survive commonly exhibit a vigorous state of health. We civilized men, on the other hand, do our utmost to check the process of elimination. We build asylums for the imbecile, the maimed, and the sick. We institute poor laws, and our medical men exert their utmost skill to save the life of everyone to the last moment. There is reason to believe that vaccination has preserved thousands who from a weak constitution would formerly have succumbed to smallpox. Thus the weak members of civilized societies propagate their kind. No one who has attended of the breeding of domestic animals without that this must be highly injurious to the race of man. It is surprising how soon a want of care wrongly directed leads to the degeneration of the domestic race, but accepting in the case of man itself how heartily anyone is so ignorant as to allow his worst animals to breed. The aid which we feel impelled to give to the helpless, rapid, relentless is mainly an incidental result of the instinct of a sympathy rapid endlessly for eternity, infinity, which was originally acquired as part of social instincts, but subsequently rendered in the manner previously indicated, rapid, relentlessly, more tender and more widely diffused, infinitely spitting to you. Nor could we check our sympathy, if so urged by hard reason, spitting never ending 'tis the season, without deterioration in the noblest part of our nature, rapping equator, the surgeon may harden, rapping never ending himself, whilst performing, rapping never ending an operation, annihilation equation, for he knows that he is acting for the good of his patient, rapping a hiatus. But if we were intentionally rapping endlessly to neglect the weak and helpless, it could only be for a contingent benefit. Rapping I spit it with a certain and great present evil. Spell love backwards is evil. Hence, we must bear without complaining the undoubtedly bad effects, rapping a spat of the weak, surviving, rapping their ending and propagating their kind rhymes. But there appears to be at least one check, spitting a mess, and a steady action, rapping a reaction, a spatting, namely the weaker and inferior members of society not marrying so freely as the sound, and this check might be indefinitely spitting relentlessly increase, though this is more to be hoped for than expected. Rapping I spit it by the weekend body your mind refraining from marriage. Love and the marriage goes together like a horse and carriage. Love and the marriage goes together like a horse and carriage. Love and the marriage, back to spitting scientifically, relentlessly. In the beginning, there was nothing which exploded. Nothing happens until something moves. A boo in the groove. I'll be looking for you. Oh, well, every moment, every single moment. And when we do find each other again, we'll cling to each other together so tight that nothing and no one will ever tear us apart. Wraps in the start and like a rainbow in the dark. Every atom of me and every atom of you will live in birds and flowers and dragonflies, rhymes and pine trees and in the clouds and in those little specks of light you see floating in sunbeams, wrapping it seems. And when they use our atoms to make new lives, rhymes, they won't just be able to take one, a done. They'll have to take the two. One of you and one of me will be joined so tight. Right. Our civil rights have no dependence on our religious opinions any more than our opinions in physics or geometry, rapping floppity. Physics isn't the most important thing. Love is twister, and there's a spitting rapper. Photons have mass. I didn't even know they were Catholic. Not only is the universe stranger than we think, it is stranger than we can think. Rapping a pink. Sometimes I wonder if my heart is like a black hole. Goblins follow my leg hole. It's so dense that there's no room for light around, but that doesn't mean it can't still suck me in. I wrap in a tent. The role played by time at the beginning of the universe tis, I believe, the final key to removing the need for a grand designer rapper forever and revealing how the universe created itself, wraps on the shelf. Time itself must come to a stop. You can't get to a time before the Big Bang, wrapping away again, because there was no time before the Big Bang, wrapping away. We have finally found found something that does not have a cause because there was no time for a cause to exist in. For me, this means there is no possibility of a creator, rapper forever, because there is no time for a creator to have existed. Rapping, I spit this since time itself began at the moment of the Big Bang. Rapping away again, it was an event that could not have been a cause or created by anyone or anything. So when people ask me if a God created the universe, and it hurts, I tell them the question itself makes no sense. Rapping hence of the math, time didn't exist before the Big Bang. Rapping away, so there's no time for God to make the universe, and it's like asking for directions to the edge of the earth. Rapping it hurts. The earth is the sphere. The earth is a sphere. It does not have an edge. So looking for it is a futile exercise. Rhyme. There I go spitting until the end of time. The infinite rhymes off the top of my mind. There I go spitting, never ending all day and all night. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe. Rapping and it hurts. But be the change that you wish to see in the world as it spins and it whirls and it twirls. Without music, life would be a mistake. Rapping away again and again. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. I bet the spitting this. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifference. Rapping a spit this. Go to heaven for the climate and hell for the company. Rapping relentlessly. Philosophy. A day without laughter is a day wasted. Spitting a hiatus. Have you ever noticed how what the hell is always the right decision to make? Rapping away goes the day. How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world as it spins and it whirls and it swirls and it twirls. I never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Spitting a raps of rap. You can talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts. A man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is. Spitting a this. May you live every day of your life. Rhyme. We have to dare ourselves. We have to dare to be ourselves, however frightening or strange that self may prove to be. Rapping indeed. Why blend in when you're meant to stand out? I shout and I pout. One remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Indeed. And to never give up where it gives you meaning and purpose, and life is empty without it. I spit it, I shout it, free if you are lucky enough to find love. Remember it is there and don't throw it away. Away goes the day. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Rapping there I go, spitting no, there I go. Spitting notes into my thumb. Well, there I thought go all night though, you know. The voices in my head start to echo again. Theirs was the eternal youth of an alternating self, a youth with the constant, although unfulfilled, promise of growing up. It was friends, fruits, ambition to discover the cause of hysteria, and archetypal female neurosis of his time and his early investigations. He gained the trust and confidence of many who revealed their troubles to him. Time after time, fruits, patience, women from prosperous, conventional families, burdened, painful memories of childhood sexual encounters with men. They had trusted family, friends, relatives, and fathers. Freud initially believed his patience and recognized the significance of their confessions. Rapping relentless. In 1896, with the publication of two works, the etiology of hysteria and studies on hysteria, he announced that he had solved the mystery of the female neurosis as the origin of every case of hysteria. Freud asserted was a childhood sexual trauma. A childhood sexual trauma was the cause of hysteria, but Freud was never comfortable with this discovery because of what it implied about the behavior of respectable family men. If his patient's reports were true, incest was not a rare abuse confined to the poor and the mentally defective, but was an endemic to the patriarchal family, recognizing the implicit challenge to the patriarchal values. Freud refused to identify fathers publicly as sexual aggressors, though in his private correspondence he cited seduction by the father as the essential point in hysteria, as what creates hysteria typical. He was never able to bring himself to make a statement in public, wrapping up automatic aspetta ababa, scrupulously honest and courageous in other respects. Freud falsified in his incest cases in the etiology of hysteria. Freud implausibly identified governess, nurses' maids, and children of both sexes as the offenders in studies of hysteria, wrapping the beginning origin of the diagnosis of hysteria. He managed to name an uncle as the seducer in 2 cases. Many years later, a rapper forever, Freud acknowledged that the uncles who had molested Rasa Zalia and Katharina were in fact their fathers, though he had shown little reluctance to shock prudish sensibilities in other matters. Freud claimed that this discretion had led him to suppress this essential information, wrapping an equation. Even though Freud had gone to such lengths, Freud was the one who discovered the diagnosis of hysteria, wrapping up his schizophrenia. He remained so distressed by his seduction theory that within a year he repudiated entirely. He concluded that his patients' numerous reports of sexual abuse were untrue. What usually causes hysteria is sexual traumatic abuse. He concluded that his patients' numerous reports of sexual abuse, the psychology of hysteria, rapid monopolia, and Tetris Media. This conclusion was based not on any new evidence from patients, but rather on Freud's own growing unwillingness to believe that licentious behavior on the part of fathers could be so widespread. It's actually crazy how common it is. His correspondence on the period revealed that he was particularly troubled by the awareness of his own incestuous wishes toward it, and he by his suspicions of the father who had died recently, P9, spitting never ending the infinite rhymes, spitting psychiatry, rapping monopoly, where it goes inside of my head, rapping and speaking again and again and again. The real problem of humanity is found when we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology, and it is terrifically dangerous. And it is now approaching a point of crisis overall. Blah, 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 blah. I suppose it's not a social norm and not a manly thing to do to feel disgust feelings. So that's what I'm giving to the finger to and social norms and stuff. What good are social norms really? Rapping relentlessly. I think all they do is project a limited and harmful image of people. Social norm usually it projects a limited and harmful image of people, wrapping a purple a snapple. It thus impedes broader social acceptance of what someone or a group of people might actually be like, wrapping a spitting that stereotype. Computers are useless. They can only give you answers. Maybe you could be mine, or maybe we'll be entwined, aimless in this sexless foreplay, wrapping away goes the day before you become too entranced with gorgeous gadgets and mesmerizing video displays. Let me remind you that information is not knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom, and wisdom is not foresight. Each grows out of the other, and we need them all. Blah, 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 blah. That's sad how plastic and artificial life has become. It gets harder and harder to find something real. And then interlocked his fingers and stretched out his arms. Real friends, real body parts that are spitting from like a rainbow in the dark. The rhymes begin to start. Technological progress has merely provided us with more efficient means for going backwards. You may live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension, rapping relentless. There it goes inside of my head, spitting, rapping about technological advances. If you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave, rapping a heath, one, never stop spitting. There are some people you like immediately, some whom you think you might learn learn to like in the fullness of time, and some that you simply want to push away from with a sharp stick, rapping a spit that's spit. We are such a stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep, rapping indeed. Sleepless little slices of death, how I loathe them. For after all, how do we know that two and two make four, or that the force of gravity works, or that the past is unchangeable, or happen indestructible, if both the past and the external world exist only in the mind, and if the mind itself is controllable, what then? The human race is a monotonous affair. Most people spend the greatest part of their time working in order to live, and what little freedom remains so fills them with fear that they seek out any and every means to be rid of it. I spit to spit. Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision, for the limits of the world. It spins and it whirls and it swirls and it twirls. A person who has not been completely alienated, who has remained sensitive and able to feel, who has not lost a sense of dignity, rapping endlessly, who has not yet for sale, who can still offer who can still suffer over the suffering of others, rapping forever, who has not acquired fully the having a mode of existence, spit in aspectus, briefly a person who has remained a person and not become a thing, cannot help feeling lonely, powerless, isolated, rapping and present day society, rapping never endingly. He cannot help doubting himself and his own conviction, spitting this, if not his sanity, and repeatedly, repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is the definition of insanity. He cannot help doubting himself in his own convictions, if not his sanity. He cannot help suffering, even though he can experience moments of joy and clarity, rapping never endingly, that are absent in the life of his normal contemporaries. Not rarely will he suffer from neurosis that results from the situation of a sane man living in an insane society, rapping repeatedly, rather than that of a more conventional neurosis of a sick man trying to adapt himself to a sick society, rapping never endingly in the process of going further and his analyst i.e. of growing of or to greater independence of productivity. His neurotic symptoms will cure themselves, wraps in the shelf. I suppose it is tempting if the only tool you have is a hammer to retreat everything as if it were a nail, rapping a bell, how hurtful it can be to deny one's true self and live a life of lies just to appease others, rapper forever. Inside of my head, the demons begin to speak in again. Inside of my head, the demons will never stop speaking again. I said I was quite sure that our views on evolution would be very different had biologists studied genetics and natural selection before and not after. Most of them were convinced that evolution had occurred. Rapid haven't you heard? Nevertheless, so profound is our ignorance, and so high our presumption that we marvel when we hear of the extinction of an organic being, and as we do not see the cause, we invoke cataclysms to desolate the world. It spins and it whirls and it twirls, or invent laws of duration and of forms of life, rhymes, and effect is advantageous to everyone who succeeds at it. And adultery is a good strategy, at least for males, for increasing presence in the gene pool. Why do we feel they are wrong? Should the only morality that evolution produces be the kind Bill Clinton had before being sorry you got caught? Perhaps the most legitimately dispiriting thing about reciprocal altruism, a reciprocal altruism, anti-establishmentarianism, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, ferocious, is that it is a misnomer, whereas with kin selection, the goal of our genes is to actually help another organism. With reciprocal altruism, the goal is that the organism be left under the impression that we've helped. Spit and I yelp. The impression alone is enough to bring a reciprocal reciprocation, rapping annihilation. It looks as if the offspring have eyes so that they can see well. A bad teleological backward causation, but that's an illusion. The offspring have eyes because their parents' eyes did see well. A good ordinary forward causation, rapid equation. The natural selection can produce changes within a type is disputed by no one, not even the staunchest creationist, but that it can transform one species into another. That in fact has never been observed. Rapping, haven't you heard? We have stopped natural selection from purifying the species because deep in our hearts we are all terrified that we won't make the cut. Rapping a spit in the butt, nut in your mama's butt. I bust up a nut. Evolution is all about turning bugs into features, turning noise into signal, and the fuzzy boundaries between these categories are not optional but opportunistic. Open endedness of natural selection depends on them. Rap 'em a rhythm anthem.